Hello, everyone. My name's Dr. Fergal Armstrong, and this is Cracking Addiction with Laura Petracek. Laura, we were talking about the give mnemonic, and we've talked about G for genuine or gentle, and then we're now moving to I for interested. Tell us about the I.
Yeah. So I stands for showing interest in other people, being available, being attentive, really listening to what they have to say. It's giving others space to open up, um, using body language that shows you're interested instead of, you know, or rolling your eyes or something, to in a way, fake it even that you're showing
Mm.
interest because you may be upset inside. But for right now, they're talking, so give them that respect because you would want that in return.
I once did an experiment where we measured how long we could stand talking about our favorite subject to a partner whose job it was to pretend to be bored and disinterested or uninterested. It's really hard, even when you're talking about a subject that's passionate to you, about which you are passionate, to actually keep going in the face of someone going, "This is so boring." It's really hard to do that. Have you ever tried?
It's very hard to do it, and I would bring it up. You know,
You,
you
yeah.
don't
What
seem
would you say? Am I
interested.
boring you?
Well, I might say that, or I'm hurt. You don't seem interested, and this is interest. This is important to me. I'm
Yeah.
not interested in half the things you tell me, but you're my partner, so I'm going to show interest. Like, I don't really care how a car works, but you like to explain that. So it's,
Yes, that's a very good point. Yes, yeah, I suppose. Yes, I don't really care how a car works. I don't really care how a car works. Yeah, my wife frequently accuses me of wandering, and my attention is wandering. So we can be having a conversation over the telephone, and trying to. I'm at work, and I'm trying to fill in a form or do something online or answer an email at the same time as talking to her. She can tell.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. And I think most people can. I keep like the
yeah.
other day, a friend was eating. I said, can you call me back? Are you eating? Can you call me back after? Or it's very easy to pick up and you feel dismissed in a way or not, uh, respected if you're not paying attention. So I can understand she could catch that. And then, unfortunately, in our society of multitasking, or maybe not multitasking, but of all this electronics, it's very easy to get distracted or want to do two things at once. But yeah, you don't really have the person's attention, and then they get upset.
And also, that triggers me. One thing that I absolutely hate is people at a dinner table tagging in where they are and what they're doing and who they're with on Facebook at
Oh,
the dinner table.
yeah.
You know,
That's
or,
another
or
ground rule I have. No
yeah,
phones at the dinner table
no
unless
phones at
it's
the
an
dinner table.
emergency, then,
Yeah,
but yeah, because again, it's rude. And I think it's so much a part of our life and it's like a appendage. That's how much of it's a part of ourselves. But it
yeah,
is rude to other people. Yeah.
it is. So we've talked about be interested, and that means, you know, not just actually pay attention in a mindful way. It also means giving validation in terms of body language and feedback. So let's talk about the body language.
So yeah, body language could be like really listening, maybe leaning in,
Hmm.
or keeping eye contact.
That's a good point.
You
How
know,
much eye contact is appropriate? I mean, you don't want to stare at someone constantly, and you don't want to just avoid them. You don't want to be, because people who make, one of the symptoms of autism spectrum disorder is a lack of eye contact. So
Yes.
How much eye contact is the right amount to appear interested? Do you know?
I mean, it's relative. There's not like a normal amount, but showing engagement, showing interest. I mean, you yourself know when you're thinking of something else or bored, and then you're going to deflect the eye contact. Or if you're upset, sometimes purposely people don't look at the other person because they're angry with them. But overall,
Yeah.
I think showing interest is, again, having for lack of a better word, a normal amount of eye contact. I mean,
Mm,
when you're not giving that person the eye contact. And no, it doesn't mean staring. It's like when
yeah.
I'm doing a therapy session, I'm not looking at the client the whole time, staring at them, but there's always a
Mm.
natural break. I find but I can't quantify that.
So leaning forward, eye contact. I think also for me, there's the feedback loop is maintained by head nodding and things like that.
Yes, head nodding. That's another
Mm,
one.
mm,
Hmm.
yeah.
That's
Are there
showing.
any other examples?
Well, you could give feedback like "I hear you" or "I understand," but
Mm,
usually, well, you may want to wait for that after they're done talking. But sometimes in the middle of
yeah.
talking, it helps to just share that.
So we've talked about interested in terms of paying mindful attention and giving feedback. What does the V stand for?
V stands for validate.
Mm,
And validate means you're validating the other person's feelings. It doesn't mean you're agreeing with them, but you're validating what they're feeling, thinking, or experiencing. So it's basically, to me, reflecting. So, oh, I hear you say you're upset. You want to go to this restaurant instead of the other one. Why didn't I have your back? Am I hearing you correctly? So it's reflecting,
yeah.
and then to kind of see the situation through their eyes, if possible. And I think the bottom line is to communicate your understanding with compassion, instead of,
That's a very good way of defining validation. I often ponder on the difference between validation and empathy. And for me, empathy is wearing the other person's shoes. But validation
mm,
is acknowledging the truth of their experience and communicating that acknowledgement.
yes, reflecting.
But yes,
Yeah.
it's not agreeing with them, is it?
No, it's
Yeah.
not necessarily agreeing at all. But
Mm,
so I have this two-step type of communication. When I work with couples, I have one person say, "Oh, this is what's going on for me," and then the other person reflects, and then they respond. Because all too often, someone will share how they're feeling, and then we just jump to responding. Well, I
mm.
wanted to go to this restaurant, so I don't understand why you're upset. Instead of reflecting first, it helps slow things down. It helps, to see if you really understand what the other person is sharing. So, oh, okay, I understand you didn't like that restaurant. You want another one. And then you respond, but this is what I wanted. It also, by that process, two-step reflection, then respond, slows things down. But when we're just, you know, you said this, I said that, when we're just reacting, it's like a pinball machine. And pretty soon no one hears anyone.
So I suppose really it focuses on the communicating the truth of the other person's experience,
Well, yeah, understanding, because we may not
even
think
though
it's
we
the
might
truth.
disagree with them. Yeah, because it's the other
Hmm.
person's truth. It might not necessarily be
That's
your
right.
truth. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. There's another concept I want to think about in terms of validation is when to actually validate. You should, when is it appropriate to validate? Because you don't validate everything, do you?
Well, you do. I think it's a really good skill to use when you're having a conversation. You know, it's
Mm,
really hard sometimes to sit and not jump in, with our
mm.
point of view. So
Well,
person
okay.
says,
So here's a question:
go ahead.
should one validate the invalid?
Well, when you come back with your response, you say, I see it differently. So to you, it's
Mm,
invalid. Like, I'll just give an example I had recently. I had a house guest say, oh, I'm going to go out to, get something to eat. What would you and your daughter like? So we said it. And then she came back and she was like, this is so expensive. I feel you're taking advantage of me. And we were like, $70 for a dinner for two in the Bay Area is not expensive. But I tried, working. This is really hard when that kind of challenging conversation comes up. So I didn't necessarily validate to me, what she was saying was invalid, but I still validated how she felt. I hear
mm,
you feel taken advantage of. I hear that you felt this wasn't fair. And then this is my response. You
mm,
had offered to buy dinner. You didn't say there was a cap. This is average for the Bay Area. And,
mm.
how could you be such a
All right.
cheap bastard?
You, you didn't actually say that, did you?
But see, that's where these skills are. These skills are
All
important. So you
right.
do,
So,
because even though you want to say it, oh my God, you want to say it so many times, whatever the
yeah,
phrase is, but it pushes the person
yeah,
away. And this, what I love this line of Dr. Linehan, it's not effective. So I
yeah,
think, okay, is this going to be effective if I say that? No.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's
All
hard
right,
not to get
Laura, we've run out of time, unfortunately, again, Laura. But I really want to ask you to come back and we'll talk further on this. Thanks very much.
okay. Thank you, Fergal.
So that's all for today, folks. My name's Dr. Fergal Armstrong, and this has been Cracking Addiction.